Now, to the subject in hand here, it's clearly a substantial issue. I am trying to work out if I'm one of the 37% of MSPs who register, and I think the answer is sometimes I does and sometimes I doesn't. And I suspect that's probably true of most people, because it kind of depends on all sorts of quite random things whether we do or not. So I think there is, without question, difficulty in tracking down white goods that require to be recalled, that are in consumers' premises, or being carried around with them, for that matter, as well. Because there have been recalls on mobile phones, for example, so lots of different things. Let me just address some of the practical issues that, in future, might be helpful. One of the things is that it's all very well publishing lists of serial numbers, but actually, on a lot of white goods, it's not very obvious where the serial number is. And if it is anywhere, it's probably at the back, covered in 3 to 5 years grime. You have to haul it out to find it, and you then find there's 4 or 5 labels saying different things with different numbers on it. Which one's the serial number? So I think in future, it would be very helpful if the serial number is on the front of the device and in a font size such that someone whose eyes are of my age can actually, yes, presiding officer, can actually read them. So I think that's a little suggestion for the future. We've also got an issue with finding people. Well, in the future, we could require, and I'm not trying to identify whether it's Westminster or us, that's neither here nor there, that we record when white goods are sold all but the last digit of the postcode of the person who's buying them. Now, why would that be useful? First of all, if you exclude the last digit, you have a big enough cohort that you can't identify individuals. Because a postcode, the full postcode is between 1 and 100, well, 99 strictly, people. So typically, that would give you a cohort of 750. And if you know there's X number in there, then you can go and find them. But then also, if you know that you've managed to find overall 10% of the sales, you know there's 9 you don't know about. So you can go and do something about it. So there are ways statistically you can use information to home in on where the ones you don't know about are likely to be. Because the difficulty is advertising to everybody in the population is very expensive and very ineffective if it's a tiny, right at the decimal point percentage of people have the goods. So I think there's work statisticians and others could do on this. But I think if we get a database, it certainly will be useful, but many people will not simply use electronic databases. So I think it will be useful to Citizens Advice Bureau, to retailers, to service engineers as they go around, and to MSPs when they're answering their constituents' queries, or even taking the opportunity unsolicited to make comments to people. It's disappointing that goods have to be recalled, but it's inevitable that that will happen. When you deal with engineering, you inevitably are dealing with a proportion of your product that will at some point in its life fail for a reason that's unexpected. I've been contacted in relation to my car. They knew where I was. They could write to me. White goods, much more difficult. Presiding officer.